How are you doing? I hope that you're having a terrible day. I'm joking. So, how to not write a chapter one? That's a weird opening. That's a very strange first sentence. But how to not write a chapter one? This book called The Cyborg Tinkerer is really a very curious case because it literally says here the curious case of the Cyborg Circus Book One. That was not intentional; it was a complete coincidence. But yes, it is a very curious case because how to not write a chapter one is very prevalent with this particular book. Okay, let's say you are writing a story, you are writing a book. How to not write chapter one? This exemplifies everything about that in terms of prose. Okay, most of the time in terms of prose. So there's something more toxic about this particular book, and it's that Meg Lattore, the author of this book, is someone with a huge YouTube channel where she gives writing advice. Okay, first of all, I want you to really comprehend that this book is terribly reviewed in Goodreads if you check it, right? Yes, where most of the reviews are. Number two, the author, Meg Lattore, has presented herself as an expert for so many years about writing stories, about writing books, about writing specifically young adult books. And, I was surprised because, this book was well marketed by her when it came out. And so what I did was I basically just decided, oh, this cat, Mad Queen, she just walked into my room. I opened the door. Good morning. How are you doing? Meow, meow, meow. Shake my hand. Shake my hand. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. Anyhow, so she presented herself as an expert for so many years. She marketed this book. I checked it out because I thought she was very clever. But this chapter one really turned me off this entire book. It's a shitty chapter one. How to not write chapter one. Let's get into the worst aspects of this particular chapter one. Sometimes death required a change of scenery. Holy moly. It's already bad because this is cringe, edgy teenage shit. Okay? Sometimes death required a change of scenery. Basically, what is happening is that this particular protagonist is going to some, they are getting off the ship that they're on, to spend their last days in peace. Okay? That's what this first sentence is referring to. But alone, without any context, it's just terrible. Okay, it's not a good opening line. There are so many books out there with so many good opening lines that themselves are shitty. This book is a shitty book that has a shitty opening line, which is an extra shitty book. It's an extra sauce, Gwendolyn Grimm marched up the warped wooden steps of the Crusty Tulip. Okay, Crusty Tulip, really? That's a beautiful name. As she shouldered her bag, a single thought formed in her mind. Good riddance. Now, I want you to pay attention. There is nothing wrong with the word, okay? But I just want you to understand, no normal adult or normal human being thinks the word as much as this character. Okay? Yes. The small manufacturing moon belched. Okay, the moon belched. Okay. A woman appeared beside Gwen on the main deck, carrying her own bag. Why didn't you come to my cot last night? Alberta cooed. Oh my God, cooed. So this particular paragraph, a bang of loneliness bolted through her. Wow. A bang of loneliness bolted through her. So this is another example of, a writer who has a bad ability to write, because we have exposition dumps being done terribly. By the way, I want to emphasize, this is not, hard to read or understand. It's just that this is not done well. It's done in a generic way. Number two, this is not dense material, okay? This is not dense material. Maybe it's because I'm used to epic fantasy. The Mad Queen is playing with something. But basically, it's not dense material. It's very easy. So I'm not saying this because it's difficult to read. I'm saying this because it's just poorly written, okay? She writes, wondering what the hell one does on a manufacturing moon with me months left to live. Gwen headed, wondering all of this. Okay, this is all the first entrance to the freaking sentence. Okay, after all of this particular entrance to the sentence, we go. Gwen headed for her customary cheap inn near the docks. As she paid off the greasy innkeeper, he hissed under his breath, "Did you hear? Cirque de Bourg, whatever that is in town." I'm assuming that's French or some shit like that. I have no idea. So you see, this is a bad ability of a writer because the protagonist happens to stumble upon the information that is very crucial for the story to progress. Another one is just terrible world building. 10 years ago, this circus had been the most famous of all circuses. They had traveled from planet to planet unannounced. Every show sold out. Every person eager to see the performances beyond the capability of man alone. To see what was possible with both man and machine. That had been before the 13 planets of the Crescent Star System formed the Union and the Emperor created the Cyborg Prohibition Law. This law made the creation of new cyborgs, the use of surgical implants, and the use of robots for surgery very illegal. First of all, the use of robots for surgery very illegal. That's bad. This is very stupid. No one would make this economical decision because surgery is very, very delicate. Yes, I have no understanding why the freaking emperor would do this. Okay, surgery. We already use robots for surgery. Number two, there is really, that had been before the 13 planets of the Crescent System formed the Union and the emperor created the Prohibition Law. Number two, why would the emperor create the Prohibition Law? You see, this is the first time we come across this information. This information is very crucial for the plot. It's very crucial for the story to progress, And the reason why you need to delve into why is because it's literally the inciting incident and the conflict, okay? Sorry, it's not the inciting incident, but it's the main conflict of the story. Cyborgs are not allowed, and our main protagonist becomes a cyborg tinkerer, basically. So there could be a lot of reasons given. One particular reason might be, okay, cyborgs make people stronger. Maybe the emperor wants to secure power for himself, so he basically, outlaws anyone from using cybernetic enhancement, okay, and cybernetic parts, right? So that his soldiers and armies can only be the ones with cyborg parts. Again, I don't know if that is the particular reason. I'm just speculating, but there could have been many important reasons given as to why. So she should have delved further into why, because this is a very critical information for the story at this point. If you're going to have a 2-paragraph information teaching us about your world, you might as well just insert in here why. Since this information, is very crucial. It goes on. It didn't make existing, cyborgs illegal, which is, again, it means my particular conjecture, my particular speculation is not true, because cyborgs who already have been cyborgs before the prohibition are legal. Just the social equivalent of having machine fleas. No one was eager to hire cyborgs for work or entertainment for that matter, and all manufacturing of cyborg implants had been shut down. This law was the very same reason Gwen had no way of addressing the oversized resident in her skull, referring to the tumor. Without the funds to travel outside of the Crescent Star System and pay for a pricey surgery, she now knew what she intended to do with her final days. The innkeeper shrugged, pocketing Gwen's payment. They are set up deep in the storage yard. See, man, this is bad exposition. Okay? Good to know. Gwen passed another mark to the man. Best be keeping quiet. The man grabbed a soiled rag, wiping the counter. Wouldn't want the feds hearing about it. Anyone caught at that circus will spend time behind bars. Mark my words. Mark your words. Cut that out. Just stop here. Okay. This particular paragraph is a nameless anger surged inside her like a raging solar storm. Woo! Subhanallah. Okay, so a nameless anger. Anger, it always has a name. It's called anger. So this is another example of exposition done badly. It goes dozens of low-life sailors, dock workers, barmaids, wenches, and other friendly types talked excitedly amongst themselves, with the exception of the cyborgs, of course, who stood quietly at the back of the line. Gwen thinks poor bastards aren't even welcome at a cyborg circus. In front of her, a man spoke excitedly of his comrade. So this is again kind of. This one is much better than the previous one, right? I do have to comment because again, I really don't like to take away when people do something good, okay? So this one is better than the previous example with the innkeeper, okay? Where we now have a more sensible situation. She's basically hearing two people talk. It is still I came across the information randomly. Anyhow, even though it is better than the previous example, it is still bad exposition. It goes, I've heard rumors of the ringleader who can bend cyborg beasts to his will, magicians who can pluck your soul straight from your chest, fire breathers who need no torch, and acrobats who tumble skillfully who tumble skillfully beneath the sheets. Anyhow, I have really read this particular chapter and fucking proud of it. Like, it's nicely fucking done. Like, nicely done could have been really just a word, a sentence that was perfectly functional. This first chapter, fuck Gwen. Gwen thought already. It's kind of just insane because this is just in the first chapter. How the hell do you have so many bad uses of the word F in the first chapter? So basically, how to not write chapter 1. Learn from Meg Lattore, okay? Learn from Meg Lattore. Don't have terrible exposition. Number 2, don't have terrible prose because chapter 1 needs to have clean, at least clean prose. Clean prose is basically prose that is passable. So for instance, if you take a look at Brandon Sanderson, he just has clean prose. It's mechanical, it's dry, there's no life to it. It's just there, it functions, and it gets the information across, and it's not bad enough that people make fun of him. Okay? So at least have clean prose for the first chapter. You can mess up in the second chapter, yes, but at least first impressions are important. You don't want to really mess that first chapter up, and you don't want to have terrible prose like this. You don't want to have terrible, you don't want to have terrible exposition, and so on and so forth. All right, so I will actually be reading other terrible chapter 1s in the future. I hope that you enjoyed this one. Have a nice day. Bye bye.